Hello everyone, the Klaus here, and today guys I'm going to review a Megabloks Neo Shifters set released in 2008, and it's going to be Nova Year. So for those who do not know this theme, well, it's really simple. It's set in a futuristic universe, in a science fiction one I think, in which two sides are fighting each other. Of course they are robots, so you got the good guys which are called the Paladin, and the bad guys which are called the Templars. And that's really all you need to know to understand the set. And as you can see here, Nova Year is one paladin, so that's one of the good guys. So for the box itself, well, it's quite shiny with the Neo Shifters logo on some metallic blue background. Of course, you got the set itself right there, and the ball transformation features, which is shown the ball transformation features, which is shown right here. On the other side, well, you got the logo of the paladins right there. Here also you can notice on the side the well, kind of the force points, the different statistic points of the of Nova Year, and on the back where it shows you the feature of the set in a more detailed way. But of course we're gonna see all these features in the set, so we are just going to move on the instruction booklet with the first page which features a code which is useful for the flash games on the official website. Personally, I never tried to enter them, so I do not really know what they do or what the games are. Here I got a little description on Nova Year. So, for example, what is supposed to, what is his role in the Paladin's side. So, as you can see, you can read that it's an elite veteran fighter, which is a night warrior unit leader. So you can also have some other information about this guy. Then you got some size comparison between the big robot, the little one, and a human, which can be quite useful. The statistic points right there, and some information on his weapons. Then you got the parts list, the transformation of the little guys, and then the instruction, followed by the instructions of how to transform the Neo Shifters into a ball. Right there. Then we got some ads first for the Hydrax base, which is Hydrax energy base, which is the only playset in the Neo Shifters theme, and also some ads for the different Flash web game. And then we got the same image as the back of the box, plus some other pictures showing you the different sets in the different sides. So all the three Paladins guys, plus the two vehicles released the wave before that, and the same for the Templar guys. And that's it. Let's move on to the set itself. And first, the little robot first. As you can see, it will share the same color scheme as the big one, so orange, blue, and black for this little printed part on the leg. In terms of articulation, well, you got one ball joint per shoulder, which is quite useful. Then you got one rotation point on the hands, one rotation point on the pelvis part, ball joint on this on the waist part. Well, on the waist part, if I can say so. Then a rotation point right here for the knees, and one last ball joint for the for the feet, and also one ball joint on the head, as you can see, which can be turned the way you want. So pretty well articulated. I have, of course, you can notice the head, which is exclusive to this set, and of course, which is also well, in fact, the same type of head used on the big robot, but of course a little smaller scale. And well, we're gonna now transform this guy, but well, before that, first we can see that this guy is going to have a gun, so just let me look for it. So here we go. Nice design. And of course he can hold the gun, and well, now he's ready to attack, I think. And here we go. So now let's transform this guy. So well, it's quite simple. First I'm going to put the heads backwards, and move this thing on the front. Put this thing like that. Then put the hands literally inside the arms. like this, move the legs in this way up, and finally, as you can see, I have a little hole. I just have to put the arms in there to cover the holes of the arm. No. Let me just adjust this thing, and well, if I'm correct, here you go, you got your ball finished. So I think you can transform it better than that, but that's just I just show you how to transform it quickly, and as you can see, it still works. So that said, now I'm going to talk about the big robots. So first, the body frame. So we're going to use this big part for the body frame. As you can see, it's made out of different connection points for the arms and heads. This part will be useful to put the little robots in there. And you can first notice this gray part, which will be in fact a button to push out the little guy. But more importantly is that this button, as you can see, is useful to let pass through it, well, under it, in fact, a rubber band right there, and this rubber band is also passing through this big black part, which are linked to the main body frame thanks to this connection point. So to recap, you got these two black parts which are linked to the main frame. You can also notice this part right there, and to link all these three parts, we're going to use also this rubber band which will go through these three parts. So it's quite useful. You'll see why it's quite useful later on. But now you can see I have to complete this part to make it look like this one. So I'm going to take this big water part, which is really cool and well designed. We can notice the four pin part right there, which will of course be useful to link the parts to the black one. So of course 4 pin holes, 4 pins. Well, I guess it's pretty obvious what we are going to do next. And here we go. Now I just have to put this part, which will be used as an ammunition for the weapon in this set. So you can see it's orange lucid or transparent, and with some little balls in there, which are quite a nice little detail. And well, now my 2 ammunitions are stored at the back of the rotor, which is quite useful, I think. Now I just have to add the armors on this part. So first, well, here what the armor looks like. So of course, this guy is the same as Sentai. In fact, all the Paladins guys are the same in terms of mold. There is just the color scheme and the head which is different. So I'm going to put this right there. Thanks to once again some pinholes. Then the parts which will go here. Excuse me. Then this part with a little rotation point, which will be linked right there. The same on the other side, and now we're going to be able to link the head. So the head looks like that. In fact, it's made in 2 parts. So you got first this part with the connection point, which is a rotation point, which will be found throughout the entire building with the arms and legs. You can also notice a little switch on the back, or button, if you want, which when pressed, light up the light on the front. So if I just put this off, here you go, which works quite nice. And also notice this little hole right there, where it will be useful to put the mask in here. So here's the mask. So like I said, it's exclusive to this set. You can also notice the color scheme. So all the colors, well, most of the colors from the set, this means blue and orange plus some silver color. So pretty well detailed, and of course pretty well robotic, excuse me. And well, even with the mask on, the light stays the same, I think. Well, you can't really see the shape of the eyes and the square on the middle. So now I'm going to link this thing in there. And that's in fact how the articulations and limbs works in the Neo Shifters theme. Well, like that, it works a little better than that normally. And well, now let's move on to the arms. So the arms. First, we're going to have this part with 2 connection points. You can also notice the little hosepipe in the trans-clear color is quite nice. The printed part right here. Then I'm going to link this part with, once again, some nice print on it. It will be linked, obviously, right there. And finally, the hands, which looks like that. So this is the first part of the hand with the connection point, which of course is in orange. But of course, I'm going to have 2 other fingers, which will be linked like that. And well, here we go, you got the hand finished. That said, I'm going to link it right there on the side. Then the second one, and now it's time to talk about the weapon, which got some weird name, but well, it is just a ball launcher, in fact. So it looks like that. It's made out of three parts. So first the blue one, the silver one, which goes on top of it, and finally the launcher part itself, this orange part, which is mounted on little springs, if I can say so. So well, it's quite obvious how it works. You take you can take the ball itself, put it in there, and unlike the Zamor launcher released by Lego, which was kind of the same type of stuff, so a ball launching stuff, Megabloks here thought a little better because they put these 2 little plastic parts right there, which helps to maintain the ball. So this means when you push these things like that, the balls will all still in the launcher, and it's quite cool. And of course, also it works just fine. So this part is used, in fact, as a magazine to store more balls, but the only problem is that there is no little parts to block the ball. So, well, for example, if I take the second little balls, when I put this thing on the back, as you can see, it will of course fall off. So it's this time it's not really well thought. But if you just put it like that, it will work. Okay, and of course, these things just fall down. Excuse me. And well, that's all for the launcher. So now I'm just going to put the 2 balls back in their places, the back, and then I'm going to put the weapon here, thanks to this little hole. So there is no spare parts. All the parts are linked on the same figure, which is quite cool. And now time to move to the to the legs part, to the bottom part with the legs. And first the waist part, which looks like that. So some connection point, going to add some armor right there. And now it's time to talk about the legs. So first, this part, which was supposed to feature a hosepipe, but obviously it's missing. I don't really know where it is. I was sure that I got all the parts, but it seems that not. I do not have the hosepipe, so do not know where if it was lost or anything like that. But then I'm going to link this other part with, as you can see, a printed part and also a silver part, which will come in handy later on. So it's look like that for now. And finally, the foot itself, excuse me, which is made out of 4 parts. So this one with the connection point, then the front part of the foot, the back one, and this little armor part. And these 2 parts, in fact, are linked together and then linked to the front part of the foot. Now I'm going to put some armor part, of course, to cover this thing. So first this one, which follows the shape of the silver part, and finally this part right there. If I'm not mistaken, yes. And then, well, I just have to link this part here and the other legs right there. And that said, well, I just have to now link the upper part and the legs part together. And here we go. Okay, so yes, I have some chaotic control a problem with some of the parts, but I will talk about that in the sum up. For now, I'm just going to let it like that and talk first about the articulations of this set. Oh, and first also, I'm going to add some more books and also add one last part that I nearly forget. So, first, the robot itself, looking in front of him, not up like a dumb guy. Then I'm going to add this center the shot right there, put the little guy in there, because it's supposed to go here. But if you want to go, by the way. And then, that said, yes, so now I'm just going to have to do the turnaround. And talk about the articulations, and then of course I will do the transformation, and then that will be all. So first, the articulations, well, it's quite simple. You got 2 points of rotation right there, which allows you to make some really a nice range of movement, but the really interesting point is on the elbow section, because you can turn these things really way more than 90 degrees, and it's quite cool. So you can move these things all the way up. Of course, you can also turn the arm, but it's not really useful because you can do the same on the end, thanks to this rotation point. The end itself, of course, can be opened like that, or closed, and it works just fine. So really great articulations for the arms. The head can be moved down, up, and on the sides without any problems. Of course, you got this part which can be moved in this way, but that's more for the transformation part. Of course, you can also press this button to release the guy like that. Excuse me. I was a little surprised by the effect of this thing. But as you can see, at least it works. Then you got on the waist part, well, the rotation point, which is quite useful. For the pelvis, well, you got 1, then 2 rotation points, which works quite nice. But then on the knee, yes, on the knee section, you can just turn that up to 90 degrees, so it's quite bad in terms of articulation. And well, it maybe could have been done better, I don't really know. And then you got the legs, which the feet, which do not really have any problems. It can be turned up and down, and also on the sides. But for now, let's talk about transformation. And well, first I'm going to put these things off. Then I'm going to put the things like that, so the armors are aligned together. Then put the feet on the back, so I'm going to do that, of course, for the 2 parts. I'm going to move the different armors part, so it looks like that, with the connection point on the back and the armors on the front. Then I'm going to turn this thing right there, move the arms in this way, and as you can see, I need the pinholes to be on the front, to be put this way. The same for the other one. Like that. I'm going to move the head down, and then I'm going to put these things like that. Now, of course, I've got 2 pins here and 2 pinholes, so I'm going to link them together just this way. Oh yes, and I forgot some things, excuse me. I have also first to link the weapon right there, because the weapon will be useful, because I'm going to use the 2 pins right there to link the 2 legs together. Like that. And now we are nearly done. Just have to link these things here. And finally, notice the little part right there, and notice the clip from the silver part that is on the legs. Well, I'm going to attach these 2 parts together. And the same will be done on the excuse me, on the other side. So like that. And here we go. The transformation is done, and I have a perfect ball. As you can see, it can roll without any big problems. So here we go. I think that's quite all for the transformation. And one little thing that I will not show in this review is this thing where in fact you put the water in a different way, and so they are pointing on the outside and not on the inside like this transformation. I think you can clearly see the differences between this and that. But you can also make that, but it will just take too much time to make it, so I prefer to make a short review, and well, I think I've shown you the essential things. And well, now I just have to press these two buttons right there. Up, here we go. And well, I'm going to retransform the guy in the robot mode, and that will be all for this review, guys. So yeah, everything seems to fall down, but that's because everything is falling down, in fact. Put this thing right there. So yeah, like I said, I got some big chaotic control problem with this part, which just do not want to stay in there, which is quite bad because of course it's one of the important part of the set to make it stand. Okay, seems that this guy do not really want to stay in there, but thought it was cool to just, yeah, oh. And well, here we go, guys, with the sum up of these snow shifters. So well, first, well, maybe first I'm going to talk about the complaints, so I will be done with that. So the first complaint I have with this set is, well, first you can complain about the waters, because they already went down pieces, but they're really heavy, and that's really do not really add. It's really a problem for the balance of the overall set. So it's mean because it's heavy, it will tend to fall off on the back and that type of stuff. So it did not really happen with this set, but I think it can be a problem. Then some other more personal problems is, well, this part which just doesn't hold, which is quite a little problem, as you can see. It's supposed to be like that, but it will not fit perfectly. So see, the quality control on the no shifters is really weak, I have to admit, because on 2 of the no shifters I bought, I bought 4 of them, and 2 got problems. So seriously, it's a little bad. So I know you can order parts for free if they are broken or damaged, but still, I would like to have some perfect set when I bought them new. Seriously. So a little problem with really, yes, there's a problem, and I think that's all. Then, well, for the rest of the set, so the color scheme is quite cool. It uses 4 colors, which is quite, which might seem a little too much, but well, the colors mix pretty well together, maybe except for the silver, which is a little too much. But the blue, black, and orange really mix well together, so I found that pretty cool. Then you got the parts, so of course there is no new parts in this set, because all the Paladin set got the same parts. In fact, all the differences are the head, which is a new mold, and the color scheme, but apart from that, it's all the same parts. So you can't really talk about new parts, or at least new mods, because, well, there is no new mods. Well, there is just one new mod, and for the rest, it's just all recolors. But the parts itself are pretty well designed, so once again, the rotors are really well crafted parts, and the same can be said for the armor parts, which are pretty cool. The guns also works pretty nice, and that leads me to the articulations. So the articulations on the arms are really excellent, because you can really move these things more than 90 degrees, and that's really cool. The head also is pretty well articulated, plus the rotation point. Okay. Plus the rotation point on the pelvis section. So as you can see, when I was talking about balance problem, I was not lying. So excuse me, guys. So I was talking about the balance, and yes, then the problem is the articulations on the knees, which are a little, well, which are just 90 degrees, so it's a little bad, I have to admit. Could have been better, I think. We can also mention that this thing just do not want to be put in there, so I do not know if this just means that failed to transform it correctly, but seriously, it sucks. And apart from that, well, the design itself is pretty cool, I think. So see, the water will look quite nice. The overall armor and design is quite interesting, plus the ball transformation looks great. So overall, it's a nice set. Of course, like I said, it got its drawback, mostly some creative problems due to some parts which just do not work like they should do. So I do not understand why, but of course, once again, you can order the parts for free on the Megabloks website customer service. So seriously, if you have some problems, go for it. And well, apart this problem, you still have some little complaints on the articulations, lack of new molds and stuff like that. But well, overall, it works quite nice, an interesting design, pretty nice articulations, and pretty cool play features. So overall, if you like robots, I think you will be pleased with this set. But well, like I said, there is no differences between the three robots except for the head mods and the color scheme. So once again, it's just up to you, to the one you prefer. So if you prefer this color scheme or this head mod, well, you will have the same part as the other, but at least you will have the model that you prefer. And that's all for this No Shifters review, guys. So hope you enjoyed, even with little problems. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them in the comments section of this video. I will happily answer them. And that said, see you later for another video review. Bye bye!